Thank you, Molly Grace, Josie, and JB. Your little blonde heads are the absolute apples of my eyes. Even if you all are miniature versions of your father, and I was just the vessel that brought you into this world, I am not bitter about that. I know this is such a parent thing to say to you, but watching you grow up into smart, spirited, kind, and caring humans who want to shape and make the world better is an absolute delight and privilege. I'm incredibly proud of all of you. And having you here tonight, knowing the trade-offs you've made, having a mom that works, means the world to me. Thankfully, there is no Hall of Fame for moms, because I probably wouldn't be inducted. But if there were a Hall of Fame for children, you would be my first 3 inductees. I love you all. And Jeff Clark, our kids do look like you. But let's be honest, you're pretty good looking. So that's okay by me. Thank you for being by my side every step of this really Byzantine journey. And there are probably a few more curves ahead, just as an FYI. There's only one space in my husband Hall of Fame, and I'm really glad it's you. My notes have pause for emotional composure, so I shall. I am so very grateful to the AMA and that extraordinary nominating process thing that I didn't have any idea about. It is an absolute privilege to be here with so many friendly faces and so many people I admire and have learned so much from over the years. As my old boss at AT&T, Karen Jennings, used to say, this is like a pound listening to an ounce, and so I'm mildly uncomfortable with that. Right here in my notes, it says, Mom, Marketer, Relentless Optimist, and so quite incredible that you guys use that for your opening. But this is the way I've described myself for as long as I can remember. In 1992, I had a less than spectacular entry into this industry that I love after graduating from Florida State University with a creative writing degree and convinced that I was destined to be the next Keith Reinhard, writing something like You Deserve a Break Today or Avis, We Try Harder. I instead started unceremoniously as a receptionist at a 10-person ad agency in Atlanta, Georgia. Still, I was undeterred and convinced that if I could just get my foot in the door and prove myself, I'd have the chance to be in advertising proper. Turns out, being a receptionist as my first post-college job was one of the most enduring life and career lessons that I carry with me today. Never be above doing anything. No matter where you are in life or in your career, there is no need or room for entitlement. Of course, today, some 27 years later, as the CEO of a global agency of 200 offices in 100 countries and 11,500 associates worldwide, and the first female CEO of an Omnicom global network. I love telling this story. I've spent my career proving that with a little bit of talent, a lot of hard work, and a whole lot of amazing people around you, if you dream it, if you really want it, you can do it. As Joanna mentioned, we were asked to address our perspectives and insights for the future of marketing. I don't really believe in prognostication. There are people like Faith Popcorn and Bob Greenberg in the room for that. After all, if you told the shy, unsure high school freshman entering her 5th new school in as many years with a funny-sounding, half-American, half-British accent that she'd someday be in the Marketing Hall of Fame alongside esteemed colleagues like Anne and Keith, well, I just wouldn't have taken that bet. Still, there are some enduring truths in our industry and some observations that I'll share. After all, I'm on the agency side now, and if you give me a brief, I will deliver on it. So first, nothing will replace the power and impact of a big idea. Not AI, not VR, not automation, not real-time data analytics application. And don't get me wrong, We're using all of those across various brands to great effect. But they are not proxies for the impact of big, famous, motivating, moving ideas for brands. When we see these ideas and experience them, we talk about them, we share them, we remember them, and many of us envy them. They are transformative, not incremental. They are so simple, yet entirely irresistible. They are unforgettable. And like JFK, Sting, Ellen, and Beyonce, they really only need one word or two to reference them and invoke all of those reactions. Nike Kaepernick, State Street Fearless Girl, Dove Real Beauty, Apple 1984, Coca-Cola Hilltop, Volkswagen Think Small. Secondly, the notion of a big idea is ever more important in a fragmented world. The ability to pay your way into brand success is a bygone thought. There are simply too many brands, too many messages, and too much content competing for ever-decreasing amounts of disposable time. The last stat I saw, on average, is 6,000 brand impressions for an American daily. 6,000. As a global population, we've spent the equivalent of 1 billion years online, and that was just in 2018. The average time spent in social media in 2018 was 2 hours and 22 minutes globally. So how will your 20% more lemony, contextually irrelevant 6-second pre-roll ad ever stack up? It won't. Useful, interesting, compelling, share-worthy ideas said and delivered in a useful, interesting, compelling, share-worthy way are the absolute minimum we should be producing as marketers for brands today. Thirdly, if paid media's influence, impact, and returns are under pressure, in what ways can we engage and persuade consumers now? I would suggest that earned and owned media are the most important and yet underrated levers for marketers. This is the product that you fully control, what others are willing to say about it, and the way you create earned fame for that product and what it does. For the past 2 years, our Skittles client has skipped the $5 million price tag for a Super Bowl commercial and earned the attention of their consumers and fans through their actions. This year's activation was an hour-long, legitimate Broadway play that consumers had to buy tickets for to see, that sold out in less than 2 days, all earning Skittles 2.5 billion impressions worth more than $50 million in earned media. A big idea that was interesting, compelling, and share-worthy, leveraging owned and earned media for a fraction of what a traditional Super Bowl ad would have cost, and creating significantly higher ROI. Fourth, and there are only 5, so just stay with me. Fourth is the killer competitive advantage of just doing the basics well. It seems to me on both client and agency sides that we overcomplicate things and lose the plot. I honestly think this happens when on the client side, and I've been there, the product or our strategies aren't compelling or differentiated enough, and on the agency side, and I've been there too, our ideas aren't big enough or breakthrough enough. In these cases, we tend to build overly complex thinking that is barely recognizable to us, let alone our consumers, in hopes of shrouding the fact that the product isn't good, the strategy isn't sound, and the idea isn't interesting. I met Jeff Rader, the founder of Warby Parker and Harry's recently. Harry's is Exhibit A on simplicity. One razor, one blade, and a myopic focus on customer satisfaction. Jeff told me that one of Harry's values for their associates is to do one thing that makes Harry's better every day for all of their associates. So simple, right? What if 11,500 people of DDB took one concrete action every day that made DDB better? That's over 4 million actions a year. What might we be? Fifth, and finally, and this really builds on the simplicity of my last observation. It might be the simplest and most obvious, but often we overlook the simple and obvious and end up diminishing something we didn't intend to. I think that in this fast-paced, ever more competitive, always on, often anonymized, growth-challenged marketplace, we're at risk of losing too much of our humanity, our values, our civility, and our kindness. I look around a room like this, and I draw energy from all of you, your kind eyes, your warm smiles, and your positive intentions. But too often, when we return to conference rooms and conference calls, we become faceless to one another, whether that's brand to brand to agency, or agency to agency. We can often drift back to our corners instead of meeting in the middle and working together. I truly believe the soft skill of the future is collaboration. The world, and certainly business, is too complicated for any one person or party to have a corner on the smarts. And the very best products, strategies, and ideas will come from diverse perspectives and minds that are willing to check their egos and aggression at the door and roll up their sleeves and accomplish something together. With kindness, humanity, caring, and dare I say, love. It's a good word to end on, love. It's how I feel about this industry, about this agency, about my colleagues, and my friends, and of course my family, and most of the time about our clients. Of course, Unilever, Keith, way up there on love. Hand over heart, I genuinely loved every minute of the last 27 years, and with any luck, there are a few more years ahead. Thank you very much.